You know that feeling when the day feels completely ordinary. Nothing bad, but nothing exciting either, and you start wondering if this is all there is. But what if the secret to feeling happier isn't about chasing bigger moments, but about learning to see the small ones differently? Today, we are going to explore one specific shift: how to enjoy ordinary life more without needing anything special to happen. This matters right now because so many of us spend our days waiting for weekends, vacations, or big events while the everyday moments quietly pass us by. When you begin to practice this, you may notice a quiet sense of contentment creeping into your afternoon coffee, your commute, or even the simple act of making your bed. The surprising truth is that enjoying ordinary life isn't about forcing gratitude or pretending everything is perfect. It's about changing where you place your attention. In this video, I will walk you through this idea step by step, with calm, practical ways to bring more enjoyment into your everyday routines. So let's start with the first thing we often overlook: noticing what is already around us. Enjoying ordinary life isn't about forcing yourself to feel excited about every small moment. It's simply learning to notice and appreciate what's already there without needing something special to happen. Think of it as dropping the constant search for bigger thrills and instead letting everyday experiences feel enough. For example, sipping your morning coffee, feeling the air on your skin, or hearing a friend's voice can all become quietly satisfying. A common misunderstanding is that enjoyment requires strong feelings or dramatic events, but that actually keeps you from seeing what's already good. When you stop waiting for life to become interesting, you start to realize it already is. The real shift is about letting ordinary moments have their own gentle value. So first, let's explore why this ability matters so much for your everyday well-being. This matters because most of your life is made up of ordinary moments, not highlights. If you only feel good during vacations, celebrations, or big wins, you miss out on the vast majority of your days. Learning to enjoy ordinary life fills those in-between hours with a steady sense of contentment rather than emptiness. Research shows that people who appreciate small, routine experiences report higher overall happiness and less stress. The pitfall here is thinking happiness has to be earned through achievement or purchased with money, but that's a narrow view. When you find value in the mundane, you're less dependent on external events to feel okay. In other words, you build a quiet resilience that doesn't crumble when nothing exciting is happening. Now let's look at what life feels like when this ability is missing. Without the skill of enjoying ordinary life, each day can feel like a chore you just have to get through. You might constantly check your phone for distractions, rush from one task to the next, or feel a vague boredom settling in. There's a restless itch that makes you think something is wrong unless you're busy, entertained, or planning the next big thing. You might also notice yourself saying things like, "Nothing ever happens," or "Life is just the same old routine." The realistic truth is that these feelings aren't because life is actually dull, but because your attention is focused only on what's missing. This pattern drains your energy because you're always looking ahead, never fully arriving in the present moment. The relief in recognizing this is that the problem isn't your life, it's the way you're relating to it. Next, we need to understand the common habits and beliefs that keep this struggle going. If this idea of enjoying ordinary life more is something you'd like to try, I have a simple question for you. What is one ordinary moment from your day that you might be overlooking right now? Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee or the quiet after the kids are asleep. Take a second to think about it, and if you feel comfortable, share it in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to hear what stands out to you. While you're at it, hitting that like button helps others find this kind of gentle content too, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for being here, and keep watching for more simple ways to bring more calm into your day. One big block is the habit of constant comparison, scrolling through social media and measuring your quiet evening against someone else's highlight reel. Another pattern is the belief that you need to feel a certain level of excitement or productivity to justify your time. Many people also develop a habit of multitasking, splitting attention so thin that no single moment ever gets fully experienced. There's also the subtle belief that ordinary moments don't count, so you rush through them to get to the real parts of life. A realistic pitfall is thinking that changing this will take huge effort when actually it's more about unlearning. The helpful insight here is that these blocks are just learned mental shortcuts, and they can be gently replaced. You don't have to fight them, just start noticing when they show up. That awareness leads us into the first mindset shift that can truly begin to change things. The first mindset shift is moving from "I need something more" to "this is already enough." That doesn't mean settling for less, but rather recognizing that satisfaction doesn't require an upgrade. It's about allowing yourself to be present with what's here without immediately looking for a better version of it. Practically, you can try just pausing for a few seconds and asking yourself, what's actually okay about this moment? A common misunderstanding is that this shift feels forced or fake, but it actually just removes the constant pressure to improve everything. The benefit is a lighter mental load because you stop needing every moment to be extraordinary. Your takeaway here is simple. Begin to trust that ordinary is not a problem to solve, but a place to rest. With that mindset in place, let's move to the first practical step you can take today. The first practical step is to pick one routine activity each day and give it your full attention. It could be something as simple as washing your hands, walking to your car, or sitting in a chair. The key is to slow down just enough to notice the sensations, the light, the sounds without trying to change anything. Set a small intention like, for the next 60 seconds, I'm just going to experience this. A realistic truth is that your mind will wander, and that's fine. Just gently guide it back without judgment. The relief comes from realizing you don't need a special setup. This moment, right here, is enough to practice with. Doing this once a day rewires your brain to find enjoyment in places you previously ignored. Once you start this practice, you can gradually expand into other moments, and that's exactly what we'll explore in the next part of this video. Let's paint a picture of what this actually looks like in a regular, boring Tuesday. You're not suddenly ecstatic about every chore, but you stop fighting the feeling of it being ordinary. You notice the warmth of your coffee mug in your hand without trying to speed through the moment. Maybe you pause for a few seconds when you step outside and feel the air on your skin instead of rushing to the car. The day still has its dull stretches, but your mind doesn't label them as wasted time anymore. You start to realize that the quiet, uneventful parts of your day can feel strangely full when you're actually there for them. So it's less about making life exciting and more about letting yourself be present in the moments that already exist. That shift in awareness starts to change how you experience everything, which leads straight into a simple practice you can try. One of the most practical ways to strengthen this is to pick one ordinary moment each day and really pay attention to it. It doesn't have to be long, just 30 seconds of noticing what's happening right in front of you. You could choose the feeling of your feet on the floor when you first stand up in the morning, or the sound of the keys clicking as you type during a work break. The key is that you don't try to change anything about the moment, you just observe it without judgment. Doing this once a day trains your brain to stop looking past the ordinary for something bigger. Over time, that tiny habit rewires your attention so that more of your day feels accessible and worth noticing. Of course, people often slip up when they start, so let's look at one mistake that can trip you up. If you're looking for more gentle guidance on building a life that feels full without being overwhelming, I have a place for that. Over at www.happylifetried.com, you'll find practical ideas and encouragement that fit right into real days. The site is full of calm living inspiration and mindful lifestyle guidance, all designed to support you in the small shifts. There's no pressure to do everything at once. Instead, you'll find tools and stories that help you slow down and notice what truly matters. Whether you're seeking a new perspective or just a reminder to breathe, it's a gentle next step. I update it regularly with fresh content that stays close to the everyday. So if that sounds helpful, I'd love for you to check it out when you have a quiet moment. A really common mistake is thinking you need to feel grateful or happy about every ordinary moment you notice. You might stand there, aware of the sink full of dishes, and then scold yourself for not feeling a wave of appreciation. That pressure to have a positive feeling actually pushes you further away from just being present. The goal isn't to love the dishes or to feel inspired by folding laundry. It's simply to let the moment be what it is. When you force gratitude, you create a new kind of stress, the feeling that you're doing it wrong. Instead, just allow the awareness itself to be enough, even if your mood is neutral or a little tired. Letting go of that performance makes the whole thing feel lighter and more honest. Once you stop trying to manufacture a feeling, the practice becomes much more realistic and sustainable. To make this feel doable, forget about trying to be mindful all day long. That's a recipe for frustration. Instead, set a very small boundary like, I'll just pay attention during my first sip of water in the morning. That's it. One single ordinary action that takes almost no extra time. If you forget one day, you haven't failed. You just start again the next time you remember. The realistic truth is that your mind will wander, and that's exactly what minds do, not a sign that you're bad at this. The relief comes when you realize that noticing your distraction and coming back is actually the practice itself. So narrow your focus down to one tiny, repeatable anchor point in your day. Once that small anchor feels natural, you'll start noticing emotional shifts that make the effort worthwhile. As you get better at being present with ordinary moments, you might notice a strange sense of quiet settling inside you. The constant pressure to get to the next thing starts to loosen its grip on your thoughts. You find yourself less irritable during waiting times like standing in line or sitting in traffic. There's a subtle warmth that creeps in, not excitement, but a kind of settled okayness with whatever is happening. Your mind stops racing ahead to what's next so much, and that reduces the background anxiety you didn't even realize was there. You start to trust that you don't need life to be special to feel content. This emotional shift makes ordinary days feel more like home rather than something to escape. But holding on to that feeling requires a little strategy, especially when life gets hectic again. When your schedule fills up and stress returns, you might feel like you've lost the ability to enjoy ordinary life. The trick is not to double down and try harder, but to shrink the practice even further. If a full minute of awareness feels impossible, try just one conscious breath before you open your car door. That single breath is enough to remind your nervous system that you're allowed to pause, even briefly. The mistake here is thinking that busy days mean you failed, when really they're just a test of flexibility. Momentum is maintained not by perfection, but by the willingness to return, even for a second. Keep your anchor points small and forgiving, and you'll find that the door never fully closes. This kind of gentle persistence is exactly what we'll explore next as we move toward the final part of the video. Over weeks and months, this shift starts to reshape what your ordinary days actually feel like. It matters because the change isn't just a temporary mood lift, it slowly rewires how you pay attention. In simple terms, your brain learns to treat a quiet morning or a short walk as something meaningful without needing a big event. Practically, you might notice yourself pausing more often, taking in small details you used to ignore. A realistic truth is that this reshaping happens unevenly. Some days feel rich, others still feel flat. The benefit is that even on flat days, you carry a quiet sense that enjoyment is possible, not lost. The takeaway here is to trust the slow build, not judge each day's result. Let's now look at a common challenge that can still sneak up on you. One of the things I've learned is that trying to live more intentionally can feel lonely when you do it alone. The good news is, you don't have to. At Happy Life Tribe, we're a community of people who want more peace, intention, and gratitude in our daily lives. I invite you to join others who are learning alongside each other, sharing small wins and gentle struggles. You can connect with that supportive energy by subscribing to this channel and by visiting www.happylifetribe.com. There, you'll find a space where everyone is simply trying to live a little more fully, without judgment. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing up together. I hope you'll become a part of it because your journey matters here. One realistic challenge is that boredom or restlessness can still show up even after you've made real progress. This matters because many people assume that once they learn to enjoy ordinary life, the struggle disappears for good. In truth, the ordinary moments themselves don't change, and your mind will sometimes drift back to wanting more stimulation. A practical detail is that this often happens during repetitive tasks, like folding laundry or waiting in line. The pitfall is that you might interpret this restlessness as failure and start believing the practice isn't working. A helpful insight is that restlessness is just a habit of the mind, not a sign you're doing it wrong. The takeaway is to notice the boredom without adding a story about it being bad. Next, let's look at how to gently recover when you slip back into old patterns. When you slip back into rushing through your days or chasing distractions, the recovery doesn't require a big overhaul. This part matters because guilt and frustration only push you further away from the calm you're after. A simple approach is to just stop for one breath and bring your attention back to whatever is right in front of you. Practically, you can place a small reminder, like a note on your phone or a sticky note near your desk that says right here. A realistic truth is that you will slip again, possibly many times, and that is entirely normal. The benefit of accepting slips is that you stop wasting energy on self-criticism and return faster to ordinary enjoyment. The key is to treat each slip as a reset point, not a failure. Now let's talk about who this whole topic really helps the most. This way of practicing enjoyment helps most of the people who feel trapped in a cycle of always wanting more. It matters because so many of us grow up believing happiness lives in the next achievement, purchase, or event. In simple terms, it is for anyone who has ever felt tired of chasing big moments and still felt empty afterward. A practical detail is that it especially helps perfectionists, overthinkers, and people who struggle to slow down. A realistic truth is that it also helps those who live with chronic stress or low-grade anxiety, where ordinary life feels heavy. The benefit is that this practice offers a gentle alternative, not another thing to master. The takeaway is that if you have ever wanted to feel content without changing your circumstances, this shift is for you. With that in mind, let's piece together a simple action plan you can start today. If you want to begin applying this right now, here is a grounded plan with just one step. It matters because starting small prevents overwhelm and builds a real habit, not another good intention. The step is to choose one ordinary moment that happens every day, like washing your hands or walking to your car. For that moment, intentionally slow down and notice one detail you usually ignore: the water temperature, the light, the sound. A realistic truth is that you may forget for the first few days, so set a simple reminder on your phone. The benefit is that this one moment creates a tiny anchor of enjoyment that can grow over time. Do not try to do it perfectly, just do it sometimes and let that be enough. Finally, let me leave you with a closing thought on why this change is truly worth practicing. The real reason the shift is worth practicing is that it returns you to a life you already have, not one you are waiting for. It matters because the ordinary days make up almost all of our lives, and learning to enjoy them changes everything quietly. You do not need more time, money, or big experiences to feel fulfilled. You only need to turn your attention toward what is already here. A gentle truth is that your mind will resist at first, but that resistance softens the more you practice. The benefit is that over time you find a calm steadiness that no outside event can take away. You are not trying to force happiness. You are making space for it to be noticed. So start exactly where you are, with the very next ordinary moment, and let that be enough. That is how you learn to enjoy ordinary life more, one quiet moment at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me, reflecting on how to enjoy ordinary life more. I hope these simple ideas feel like a gentle invitation, not another task to add to your day. You can start right where you are, with whatever moment you're in. If this video brought you a little ease or a new perspective, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Happy Life Tribe. For more encouragement and practical ideas like these, visit www.happylifetribe.com. There you'll find support, calm living inspiration, and a mindful lifestyle guidance that fits everyday life. I'd love for you to be part of this growing community of people choosing to live with more presence and gratitude. Until next time, I hope you find a small bit of peace in your ordinary moments.